As part of Ferrari Fridays, William Ross from the Exotic Car Marketplace will be discussing all things Ferrari and interviewing people that live and breathe the Ferrari brand. Topics range from road cars to racing, drivers to owners, as well as auctions, private sales, and trends in the collector market.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ferrari Marketplace. This is William. I am your host. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the Scottsdale auction results and what happened out there. I know this was, a little over a month ago? So, but, gathering all this stuff, it takes a few weeks to put it all together, numbers-wise and whatnot. So we're going to talk about the Scottsdale auction results from all 5 of the auction houses that were out there: Barrett-Jackson, Worldwide, Bonham, Sotheby's, and Gooding. But real quick, hey, just want to stress before, again, just trying to get the hang of this. So if this is a little rough or whatnot, a little bit scattered, I apologize. I'm trying to get this to put together more and cohesive. So just give me some time. We'll put it together. Like I said, we're going to talk auctions. We're going to talk events. We're going to talk cars. Many, many different topics. So, it's not just going to be it's going to be about everything Ferrari. So I just kind of want to get that out there and say, hey, check out the Instagram page, LinkedIn, my YouTube channels, got that up, but there's only a couple of things on there. I got some video coming when I head out to California here in a few days. So I just want to get out there, so check it out. But again, just want to apologize. I said I'm not a pro at this, far from it. Just kind of want to start working out the kinks. So I really appreciate your patience. Really appreciate everybody that's been downloading the previous episodes. And hey, I'm going to try and get these out about every couple of days. So, because there's always plenty to talk about with Ferrari, because Ferrari's the greatest, correct? So anyways, like I said, we're going to talk about the Scottsdale auctions, the 2022 auction that just came about back in January. And like I said, they had 5 auction houses out there. Now, it wasn't actually that big of a year for out there in Scottsdale from recent years. It was up a bit, but it was well below the almost $290 million of the record set in 2015. So, It was there. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Now, the median price was about $66,000, so it was a recorded good margin, so it wasn't bad. So anyways, out there at Scottsdale, there are a total of 2,130 lots total amongst the 5. Now, which is kind of interesting, Mecum held their Kiss Me auction about 2 weeks earlier. That was like 800 less total than Mecum had at their auction. So out of all 5 auction houses, they were still about 800 cars less than Mecum had just themselves total at Kissimmee. So it kind of gives you an idea how big Mecum gets their auction, especially at Kissimmee. So that's a huge one too. That's a really good one. But the 5, total for the 5 auctions for the all 5 houses was around just a smidge under 268 million. But the cool thing is, or interesting thing is, that was actually $63 million more than what Mecum did at Kissimmee. So with 800 less cars, they still bested them by $63 million. So kind of interesting. I guess that kind of gives you an idea of quantity versus quality in regards to cars that are coming across the block. So now the only thing about this was kind of interesting. Out there, there's only 31 Ferraris that were up for auction out of all auction houses. There were only 31 of them. Now in 2020, there were 86 Ferraris that went across the auction block in Scottsdale. So obviously, significantly less amount. Now, that could maybe have something to do because Amelia Island's coming up, and a lot of the big swingers are waiting to that. I know David Gooding from Gooding & Company and made the comment that their big customers and whatnot were holding out and taking their stuff to Amelia Island instead of having it out in Scottsdale. So maybe that's what the other houses were having the same situation occur with their clients. So could be it. We'll see. Amelia Island's coming up. We'll see what they do. I know there's some fabulous cars coming up for auction down there. I'm going to be hitting the Gooding one when I'm down there. Any other ones I can kind of squeeze myself into. So I will keep you abreast of that. Now, of the 32 Ferraris that were out there, they only brought about 10.4 million. But only 2 Ferraris actually sold for over $1 million. So that kind of gives you an idea where we're sitting at. So, but as I go through, I'll kind of highlight some of the ones that went across the block. So It wasn't a huge amount, and it wasn't any big blockbuster like $10, $15 million cars going on. No, like, any Californians or anything like that. But, There's no big dollar stuff like that going on. But anyways, let's kind of get into it more. So let's talk about a couple of these cars that went across the block. Now, this car is a 250 GTE. It's a serial number 4695. It's a 63 model. It's got the Grigio Argento with some mahogany leather. The estimate that thing to go across is around 4.25 to 5.25 was the estimate that they had that at. It's largely original, about a 3+ condition. Hammered at 425, but then you put in the commission and stuff like that, you're just up almost a hair under 4.75, so about $472,500. So I mean, that's the kind of thing. That's one thing about going to these auctions and buying a car. You're tacking on a little over 11% roughly to that actual cost. So you can't always say what the hammer price is what you're actually going to have to pay to take it home. This thing wasn't too bad. The engine part was rather clean, nice and oily. Some fuel residue was left on the carburetors, but it's not restored. But hey, what can you do? It's a great car. It's a good car. Probably just you can go out and drive, which is nice. You can go out and you can enjoy it. Next one we got up is a 275 GTB. It's a serial number 06609. It's a 65. Now this one is red with black. Had an estimate about 1.5 to 2 million. Now this one was, as they say, visually maintained. It was largely original, about a 3 condition, 3 negative maybe so. And it hammered at 1.7. So with your commission, everything final on this thing was 1.875 million out the door. Now this one had some alloy wheels, so some new Michelin XWX tires on it. I had 2 sets of spare wheels and a partial tool roll. Now there's stone chips in the nose, some chipped edges. Another thing was he had some duct tape patch seats, which was kind of like, you're really going to send this through, some duct tape patch seats. The chrome was a little bit weak. The engine part was orderly and neat, but it had some road grime and everything like that, some fluid residue left around of it. Now, it was represented to have its matching number engines, but a replacement gearbox. So that's not too bad. But, hey, it was sound. It was a usable car. It's a car you can go out and drive. Discounted for how it looked and its age. And, obviously it's going to need to get sent out to have some, I guess, tidying up done. So, but hey, this car would have been perfect for the preservation class challenge. So it's kind of one of the things to take a peek at. But, but again, find one that you can go out and you don't have to worry about driving, and you can get out there and just have some fun with it. Maybe just keep it mechanically sound and leave it as it is. And you don't have to worry about it. I mean, yes, you're still talking a little bit under $2 million for it just putzing around. But hey, what the heck? You don't have to worry about your $3 million one, $4 million one getting chipped or anything like that after you spend almost $500,000 and, getting a restoration done on it. The next one we got up, we got a 3030 GTC Special. Got a serial number 8727. It's a 66. Now this one was kind of pretty because it's a nice shade of blue. This blue scuro with beige leather. If I pronounce some of these colors names wrong, forgive me. I'm not Italian. But anyways, this one was estimated for about $700,000 to $900,000. It had a recent restoration, but it's about a 2 condition, so it was up there. So looking good. This thing hammered sold at $875, so we commission everything out the door is $967,500. So going through, it's not too bad. So, the Boranis on it. The Becker radio cassette was in there. It had pop-up driving lights, power windows. It was stored like new, but there's some road grime and some fluid residue that was under the hood. So they really didn't tidy it up when they got there. So maybe they cleaned up just a smidge more. Maybe they got a few extra dollars, but hey, I don't know. But I guess this one was first owned by Sergio Pininfarina. So it's kind of got a little bit of history to it. It was modified as a design study and incorporated a number of unique details in the interior and with the pop-up driving lights. So if you have a chance to take it, it's kind of cool out of seeing because there's like they're like an extra set of these little pop-up lights on there. So take a look at that thing. It's pretty neat. So, but again, very good paint and chrome. Upholstery was a little bit stretched, whatnot from but obviously being seated there. But this thing actually sold by Gooding back in Scottsdale in 2008 for $550,000. So now I'm talking 13 years difference in what's appreciated. Not quite to what is that about? Maybe 60%, 80% roughly, something like that. I'm not good at math. I went to public school. So, but anyways, I don't know if this thing was, I don't know. It's price-wise, it was up there. but you had the special features, the pop-up lights, the pin-free and ownership. So I guess that helped with the value. But I said love the blue thing, But again, so hey, it's a fun car to drive. It's ready to go. It's on the button, and have some fun with it. Go around, show it. So next one we had was a 330 GTS, serial number 9805. It's a 67. Now this one's your standard red with camel in it. Estimated about 1.5 to 2 million. It was visually maintained, large original. About a 3 condition on it. So this thing hammer sold about 1.775 million. So it's your commission percentage in there, just a smidge under at 2 million at 1.96 million. Now this one had a Craig 8-track stereo in it, so it's kind of interesting. It had the Baranis, but it had some Michelin Defender tires on it. It had the tool roll. It had all the period paperwork, everything like that. Now there's some orange peel by the windshield on the windshield post, so the upholstery was pretty decent. The gauges were a bit dirty. Interior buttons in the ashtray, a little bit rough. The engine compartment was kind of old and dirty. It didn't show much detail and attention to this. So it's kind of weird why you bring a car like this to an auction and you don't really take care of it. Now, these were coming out of the Dr. Terry Maxon collection. But it just, it was just aged and seemed neglected where, the person that bought it hopefully will take it, have it do a nice little cleanup on it and tweaking stuff, probably drop about, 80, 100 grand or so on to get this thing up to snuff and have some fun with it. So anyways, next one. Now this one is an inch car. And actually, as I get into this, you'll see this car has been jumping around to a lot of the auction houses. Well, I'm not saying a lot, but it's been in the past few years, this thing's, it's got some miles on it just from going from auction to auction. This is a 365 GTS serial number 14779. It's a 71. Now this is a convertible. Now, this is Sidney Pollock's old car that he used to own. So I don't know. I don't know how much that really adds to it. Sidney Pollock, not that big of a name to me, but other people out there it might actually mean something. Now, this thing was estimated about 2.4 to 2.8 million. Had an older restoration, but it was number 2 condition. But did not sell. The high bid got it up there around 2.175 million. And so it was a no sale. It's got the pop-up headlights. It had the XWX tires, a Becker Mexico cassette. Had air conditioning, which is kind of unique sometimes for those cars. It had an older paint on it, barely used upholstery, clean engine compartment. Showing some age, but hey, a few miles on it. But hey, what the heck? It's only got 40,000, a little over 40,000 original miles on it. So if you look at the age, that's not too bad. But this thing was most recently restored back in 2001, then cosmetically refreshed in 2010. It's well documented, meticulously maintained Daytona Spider. It's been around, like I said, hopping around. So, the first thing that's kind of showing up was back in '99 when it sold for $308,000. Then by 2008, it had the registration and was freshened up. And a post-block sale at Gooding's Scottsdale, it went for $1.29 million in 2008. So said it was jumping around, and then it was sold again by Gooding at Scottsdale again in 2020, where it bought $1.93 million. So in those 23 years since it first came around, but now it's only had 904 miles to it. So it really just kind of been sitting around, not really doing a whole much. So it doesn't seem like anyone's really gotten out and enjoyed that car, which is unfortunate. Not one of my more favorite cars, but people seem to like them. So hey, I'm surprised you didn't just try it a little bit more. Now, this one's kind of interesting. This this was someone took a 1980 400i and made it into a stretch limousine. Now, you can go around and look at, just type in 400i stretch limo, and you'll find I think you'll find a YouTube video on this and see it. It's not the prettiest, and I don't know why someone would have taken a 400i and did this to it, but hey, God bless them. I've seen worse. So, and it sold for hammered at 48,000. Then with the commission tacked on there, times has 52.8. So I thought that one was kind of interesting. Not really much on that, but like I said, if you want to go out and check it out on the internet, it is out and about. You can see some pictures on it. It's white. Can't miss it. Next one, we've got a 512 BBI and 83. Now, this one was red with black leather. It was unrestored original. It was number 2 condition. Now, this is a post-block sale at about just a smidge over $238,000. And then with commission and everything like that, just a hair under $267,000. Now, this had air conditioning, good, probably original paint. Hard to tell. You'd have to really kind of get the paint meter, go all the way around it, but it looked like it was pretty original paint. You had slightly creased some upholstery in there. Some of the console controls are a little worn. Their panel behind the one passenger seat was a bit damaged. So it was just a clean, unrestored chassis, well maintained, largely, original examples. It only had 7,010 miles on it, which were believed to be real. So that was a sold Ferrari at Worldwide's auction. So that was the one they got. So that was theirs. Now here we're getting into one of my favorites, obviously because of my age. This was when I was in my teens that these things were hot and whatnot in my early 20s. So this 1989 Testarossa, red with tan leather. This one was unrestored, original, number 2 condition. Hammered at 155, and then with everything, it was 170,500. Had good original paint and interior. The driver's seat was slightly stretched and creased a bit, but obviously, someone's driving it, which is good. The engine compartment was nice, tidy. It only had just a hair over 17,000 original miles that were represented on the odometer, so looked like to me that was pretty legit. Surprisingly, the nose was kind of free of any stone chips or anything like that, which was kind of odd because you would think the way that thing is, if it's original paint and everything like that, there would be some chips. But I don't know, maybe someone was very diligent in regards to when they drove it, where they drove it, and whatnot. So anyway, now that was kind of, not too bad up there. But RM sold the Mono Specchio, the single flying mirror ones, for $162,400. And so it's kind of, I don't know. You got the ones, and that's, I guess, out there, I want to say the argument is. And some people are being, going and leaning towards the fact is the single flying wing mirror ones, as they would be called, are becoming more collectible out in the marketplace just because especially because it only has the one mirror as compared to later ones where they started having the 2 mirrors. So I don't know. I mean, I dig it, but I prefer 2 mirrors. I think to me it just balances out. But that's just me. Some people are going to prefer the single mirror. So, some people are saying those are worth more now. I don't know. I guess it just boils down to personal opinion. I don't know. That's how I am. Anyways, next one we got is the 512 TR, which I love these things that they're getting into, and I love the 512 TRs. I love the 512 M's too. I'd love to be able to afford one of those one day. That'd be outstanding. So again, this was Ruscoso with black leather. Now they estimated this one was going to hammer about 275 to 325. Now this was unrestored original, about a 3+ condition. This thing hammered at $265,000. So with commission and everything that out the door, it was $296,500. So alloy wheels, Michelin tires. It had the fender shields on it. It actually had the Shidoni luggage also with the books and the tools, everything like that. Now this one was described as one of 2 prototype cars built to U.S. specifications. So I don't know about that, but hey, you got to go by what I guess you're being told. I wasn't really sure about documentation. I didn't see any, but I'm sure there probably was something to back that up because I don't think someone would want to send that over the auction block without having doc paper. Just going to say that's what it is. Now there was lots of paint loss and early misty residue with the engine compartment. So I don't know, but hey, it had good paint, slightly worn upholstery. Now the mileage claimed to be about 20,647 miles. So I mean, it looked about legit. Now this thing was probably sold to Russo Steel at the Monterey in 2017 for $214,500. So it's gone up in value. I guess was preserved since then because I think it had very little added miles to it from that. But being one of the early build stats and being a, I guess, prototype pilot test guy, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd be a little maybe concerned in regards to something going wrong. I mean, because, those first ones kind of going through, but I don't know. I guess that's just me. Next one we had up is I kind of dig these things too. It's a 95 456 GT. Now this is black with beige. Now I think it was only estimated to go for 60, 80 grand. Now it was unrestored, about a number 2 condition. Now this is good. Hammered at 110 plus the commission. So it went from 123.2. Now, that was rather interesting. Granted, it was a manual, so that kind of, I guess, helps in the value, this day and age. I'm going to do a podcast that I'm later down the road regarding about, the gated manuals to the automatics or the F1 transmissions, however you want to kind of present that. I'm just big. Either are great, but if I had my druthers, I would take a gated 6-speed. So, but anyways, so this thing got up there as compared to the estimate. That's a pretty significant jump. Basically, what the final price with commission and everything was almost basically double the low end of the estimate. So as you can see where these things are headed, and again, I don't know if the gated 6-speed's got something to do with it, but these things are starting to gain a little attention, get some attraction on people. And, because it's a great Grand Tour, man. If you want to go for a drive and get in that car for 5, 6, 7 hours and just go and cruise at 90, 100 miles, that thing's perfect for it. The seats are comfortable. It's a great car. I've driven a few of them. They're not that bad. It's not the, most head-turning design of a car. But like I said, you're driving it for that motor that's underneath that hood. Mileage on this was only about 24,750, just a smidge under. It said supposedly carefully looked after the past 2.5 decades. Obviously, age-wise, it's getting up there. But, hey, this was actually, I think, these are going to go up in value, I think, a little bit. How much, I don't know, but it's a good entry into the Ferrari market for someone that's looking for a good, reliable car. Yeah, again, with any Ferrari, you're going to have your maintenance costs and whatnot. But anyways, if you're looking for something to get into it and have some fun, especially if you got kids, there you go. It's got a back seat. Now, they better be young because not anyone probably over the age of 8 might be able to fit back there with the legs on the seat. But if you need to do it, hey, it's got the trunk, it's got the back seat. There you go, family hauler. It could be your daily, taking your kids doing school runs. All right, next one. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. I love these 512Ms. This was a 95. Now, this was black with tan leather. I'm a big fan of black. Nothing looks prettier than a black car, in my opinion, but the problem is nothing gets dirtier quicker than a black car. And you got to really know what you're doing detailing those things, because you talk about seeing swirl marks in black paint. Absolute nightmare. Now, this one was estimated to go for about $4.25 to $4.75, so between $425,000 and $475,000. Now, this is unrestored, original, about 2 condition. And this thing hammered sold at the high end of the estimate of $475,000. So with commission and everything, like, the final price was $527,500. So beat that, I said nailed it at the hammer. So by throwing commission, it was above estimate. So that kind of tells you where these things are going. I think these are going to start getting more valuable as time goes on. This is one out there. I was, using that term blue chip collectible, but I think these 512M, especially if it's got lower miles on it, it's well maintained and service histories. I think these things probably, they're going to get up there. Now, will they ever reach $1 million? I don't know, maybe another 15, 20 years potentially. But I just have a feeling I think these things are going to go up in value significantly in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're out there shopping, there you go. Take a look at this one. Now, this one only had just a little bit over 15,000 original miles on it. Had the belt service done late 2021. So, hey, that's good to see. You don't have to worry about that for a couple of years. Those, like I said, you want to get them done quite frequently, even if you don't drive, because just it is what it is, just the way it is owning a Ferrari. That's what I love about these 512Ms, though, because these being the last year, basically, of the Testarossas being built, these carry a premium over your 512 TRs or even your Testarossas about 3 times more than those, just because of what they are. So, and it was very small build quantities of these things, too. So they're tough to find, and a lot of them usually have low miles and are well-maintained just because of what they are. So if you're ever out there in the hunt, just get all your service history and everything on it. Now, the next one we got here is a 550, a 2001 550 Maranello. Now, this was like this blue posy with tan leather. Now, this thing was estimated to go for about $150,000 to $200,000. I've owned a 550 before, so I know how much fun these things are. Love that car, and I should never gotten rid of it. But other things arose and just had to do it. And that was one I wish I would have kept. And so that's why I'm still out there, as I mentioned before. So I'm going to take a look at this 366 speed here, hopefully when the person gets it back from getting service and all the belts done and everything like that. Even though I'm not really sure I want to go the convertible route, but we shall see, because it's in great condition, low miles, and all the service, everything's getting done, so it'll be ready to go as soon as I get it. So we'll see. But anyways, Like I said, the estimate on this was 150 to 200,000. It was unrestored, about a 3 condition on it. It hammered at 225,000. So right there, it even hammered way, I won't say way above, but above estimate by a decent amount. So with the commission roughly around 12%, it was $252,000 out the door. So obviously these things are starting to go up too, i.e. because, hey, it's a gated 6-speed. Now, these had the Daytona style seats, and they had the fender shields, CD changer, they had the alloy wheels, had Pilot Super Sport tires, tinted windows, had some stone chipping on the nose, but not much, slightly worn, soiled in the driver's seat. Hey, someone was driving it a little bit. The common problem that always is, and if you're ever out there shopping for your first Ferrari, buttons in the interior get a little bit sticky. So it's something they can get addressed and fixed, but this one had the buttons were still getting a little bit sticky. And not on this car, but they always look at the dash, too. The dash has sometimes a tendency to start really going a little bit wonky. But some chips and scratches on the driver's side door handle, getting in and out. So maybe someone was probably wearing rings, something like that, and just not being cautious. Had just this, hair under it, had just a smidge over 29,000 miles. So looked like it, the way it was, but, not the best preserved one. Showing age, you could have had a good detail done to it, and you probably could have gotten a little bit more out of this too, and been way above the high estimate. But hey, some people, it's they don't give two whats when they take a car to auction. Other people, they are meticulous about it, and they'll have someone like Ammo New York come in and they'll spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a detailing job on a car because sometimes they'll get it back and more. Presentation is everything. That's just the way it works out there in the auction world. There's a few other here, like, these got some 320, like these 308s and 328s were going. I kind of whipped some of these. Now, these things are going up too, but let's take this one real quick. Those 85 308 GTB Quattro Valve. Now, red tan leather, red piping. Estimate was 70 to 110. This thing sold at 120. So again, above estimate. Again, it's the gated 6-speeds. So I think these things are starting to really go up in value. So if you can get your hands on some gated 6-speeds out there, people, I'm telling you, get it. You could drive it for 6 months, probably turn around and sell for more money. Or at least get your money back. As long as you take care of it, maintain it, don't beat the crap out of it. So anyways, because that thing sold at 120. So with commission, everything is $134,400. So it's kind of showing. This thing had, it was an older repaint, some minor stress cracks and whatnot. Engine compartment had a little bit of oil misting to it. Not much, some paint loss on the interior and the engine bay. But it was a really nice car. It was multiple FCA Platinum Awards, so it was real consistent. Only had 27,160 miles on it. But hey, this person took care of it, and they were very, very nice and good at it. So hey, God bless them. They babied it up. So now it's got some 328s that were in here also. Another red tan one. It sold at out the door at 165,000. Another red tan red black leather. This one sold out the door at 151.8. So here's another 348 that we came across. Another red tan. That one went out the door at 79.2. So this one was kind of interesting because it was sold by leak at the Scottsdale in 2020. So 2 years ago for only 49.5. Then by Barrett Jackson at the Houston auction 4 months ago for a reported 110. So it's kind of jumping around. So someone got it and then lost some money. So now this is the one that I thought was really interesting that I want to kind of bring up. That I kind of want to focus on and go. So this was a F355 Spider. It's a 95. It was black with tan interior. Now the estimate was 130 to 160,000. This was a 6-speed manual. And forgive me if I was saying 6-speed on some of those other ones because I should have saying 5-speed because they're older. But my apologies. I'm getting a little wrapped up in this and I get excited. Again, I apologize. So now this, I said, 130 to 160 was the estimate. Now this was unrestored, number 2 condition, hammered at 200,000. So with the commission rate and everything out the door, $224,000. So look at that. That was almost, $64,000 above estimate that went. And I don't know about you, I always include the commission rate in it when that thing goes out the door because that's what you got to pay the money. That's kind of like the sticky thing about auctions is that considered part of the value of the car? So, I mean, everyone when you're sitting in an auction going, I'll never buy a car at auction. I'd rather be able to like drive a car, test it, and really scrutinize the heck out of it. But, when you're sitting there, you're bidding, you got to take into account what the commission is. So if someone's going, okay, 200, so if I bid 200, it's going to be actually 224. You got to keep that in your mind. I mean, that's 24 grand extra on top of it. Now, what was this thing was, okay, it had this, fender shields and some Pier Zero tires on it. It had the carbon fiber door sills. It only had 898 miles. Now, that probably played a big role in it being what it was when it crossed the block. It went for the $200,000 at the hammer. So, basically, a brand new F355. I drove one of these once, and they're fun cars. They're great. Huge improvement over the 348s. I know a lot of people out there like 348s, but it was a huge, huge improvement over the 348. The 355 is a great car. And again, these are ones where actually if you shop around, look, you find some with like maybe 20, 30,000 miles. Maybe it needs a belt service and whatnot. You can find pretty decent ones out there. It might need some work. Now, don't do what Tyler Hoover did. And when he bought that yellow one, that convertible he just got recently, I don't know if you watch any of Hoovie's Garage, but that thing needed a lot of love. But, I mean, he got it at a good price. But, again, it's kind of one of those deals. I'm always in the mindset, I'm going to buy one that's already done. It's on the button. I just get it and go. I really don't like having to buy something then go spend a bunch more money on getting it up and running. It's just me. I'd rather buy one it's all ready to go and out the door. So, and this thing actually, actually had a belt service done on it. And again, as I talked before, even just because you don't drive doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing these belt services. Those things will just start to deteriorate, especially from not using them. Just one of those things of owning a Ferrari. So now this other one said I was interested in this one, but it wasn't a gated 6-speed. It had the F1 transmission. It was a 2001 360, but I love the color on it. It was fly yellow with the black leather. Now, it was unrestored, about a number 2 condition, so it was a nice-looking car. Hammered at 100, so with commission rate, everything was 110. Had the black calipers, fender shields, power Daytona-style seats, rear challenge grille. Had the Bridgestone tires. Had some chip-guarded nose, door edges, rear, but stuff like that. So they put this stuff necessary on there, kind of keep all the highly prone areas and kind of take some beating on it to keep them well presented. Now, the belt service was done about a year ago, but the service record shows about a little over 22,660 miles roughly it was showing on there. It wasn't represented, but that's what, looking at service and everything, that's what I was saying. So, not pretty decent price for one of these cars for how good it looked. For 110 grand, these 360s are getting pretty decently priced with the F1 transmissions. Now, like I said, some people like them, some people love them. But when you're comparing it, if you drove something recent and you try and compare the two transmissions, it's going to seem like a dinosaur when you try and drive it. It's just those things, they shift very slow compared to the new stuff. They still shift decently. It's just something you got to figure out. It's with any car, it's going to have its quirks. It's going to have its very, unique attributes and whatnot. And sorry, that was my wife texting me if you heard that in the background. So, but as with any car, it's always going to take your little nuances and whatnot. And that's what makes cars great. Each one has its own little quirks, its own little styles and whatnot, how you have to drive it, what you do. I'm sure all of you have had your car out there that, you were basically the only one that could drive it because you knew what to do. You had to push this button in and lift this up to get something to start and all that crap. So, it's what makes a car fun. So, but anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to go over a little bit regarding the Scottsdale auctions. And kind of, that's just a, little overview. I went through the kind of cars I found, kind of interesting to go through. There were some 458s. There's a 430 that went through, that, again, the F1 transmission. It had an estimate of 250, 300,000, hammered at 255, right there at the lower end. So out the door is 285.5. So, it only had 3,700 miles on it roughly in 2017, sold for 231,000. So it's not a bad deal. But anyways, that's about all I have to talk about on these auction results. So listen, I'll get some more out later this week. I'll have another podcast dropped. and talk about it. I'm really interested and want to speak about Luigi Chinetti and kind of give his story and everything to everyone out there. So, again, I appreciate everybody listening. Check out the website, Instagram, go to my LinkedIn page. If you got any suggestions, whatnot, just shoot me an email, William at theferrarimarketplace.com. Easy enough. I appreciate it, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.